She went to the university.
Ready? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. It is now 4:30 exactly. And we shall begin our council meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Ron Rensing. Randy Funker.
Here.
Brad Hint.
Here.
Greg Giels.
Here.
Zach Sawyer.
Here.
Thank you. First on the agenda, are there any public comments? Make sure I look at all of you. Okay, let's move on. Next, consent agenda. Questions or comments?
Make the motion to approve. Support.
Thank you. And if there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Funker.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Giels.
Aye.
Moving into new business, we'll hear a consideration from the Sheldon Golf Course. I think, Joel, are you going to come up and share that with us, please?
First, I'd like to say thank you for the support that the City Council has given us financially over the past couple years. It is greatly appreciated. As a community asset, we have worked as a board very, very diligently to be as frugal and responsible with the funds that you have given us. And so we just want to say thank you very much for that continued support. With that being said, our request is for 150 feet of fencing. Chain link fencing. There was about 2,000 feet left over from the borrow pit when the DOT came through. And, our request is to have that 150 feet to line the north side of our driving range. That would provide a backbone for the ball netting that we have purchased. That way it'll also allow us to put that ball netting up. It'll stop balls from going into the fields, which we not only lose balls, it's additional cost of labor for people to pick the fields, and with that fencing, that'll also help to protect that netting that we have purchased. It won't get whipped as much in the wind. It'll last longer. So it's just one more way for us to be able to help defray costs at the golf course and try and cut our costs year over year. That would be our request to the City Council, if we would be able to donation of 150 feet of chain link fence. So, again, we appreciate it. Thank you very much, and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
The fence is just sitting there now, correct?
Yes.
plans
Right.
for
The only other use we've used, we had about 2,600, 2,700 feet of fence. Rise Fest is using a portion of our fence right now. They know if, in the fact, something else happens with that property, the fence would come back to us, so we technically still own it.
Okay.
So right now, we don't have any specific use that we're utilizing the fence for. That was the fence that actually, if you recall, went around the borrow pit. Mm-hmm. We had to take a large section, or most of it actually down, when we had to do some improvements and work out there.
So are you recommending a similar arrangement with the golf course, or just give them the 150?
They're actually requesting, I think, for the fact, because they're going to put the screening on the backside, it would be their intent that we donate it to them to keep, and it becomes permanent. So basically, I don't have, I guess, a formal recommendation other than we don't have a specific use or plan with it today. But we do have about 2,000 feet of fence.
Rise Fest is not necessarily the precedent, I guess is my question. We're not going to give it to them, but take it back if we think we need it someday.
We haven't had that conversation other than they basically requested to use it. They installed it at the point in time. They don't own that property, so if that were to develop something different, they would be required to take all the improvements off down there. And at this point, they would give it back unless they'd have to make a separate request to ask to have that donated to them.
Mm-hmm. Is there 150 feet laying around?
There's
on a roll
2,000.
somewhere?
We have about 2,000.
2,000.
But I mean, that's not being used by them, by Rise Fest.
Yeah, Rise Fest is only using 600 or 700 feet.
Okay, so there's a pile somewhere of it.
Yeah, we have 2,000 left separate
After
yet
Rise
from
Fest.
that, from the Rise Fest.
I would
We
recommend
have
no
no
give it to
used, I would say use it.
If we have no use for 150 feet and we've got it laying around, then I make the motion to give it to them.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll support that.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments or questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Giels.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Funker.
Aye.
And next, we will consider a request from the Sheldon Fire Department, and who out of this fine crew shall come up and share with us your request? Thanks, Scott.
First of all, thank you again for all the support you've given our fire department as well. Which Randy's going to stand up and do all that. You should have a hand up.
Yep. Yep.
What we're asking for, the Sheldon Fire Department, there is some land just west of the city maintenance shed right now and east of the wastewater treatment plant, kind of a dead grass area. I think there's an AGP has a skimmer on there on the sewer system as well. We're looking at hopefully putting a building down there, 40 feet by 60 feet around that. And that just changes to store the 1918 and the 1950 fire truck that we have currently in the fire station. Those trucks used to be, well, one of them used to be in the museum. It was in the museum, but they had to take it out of there because the fuel that was in it was not good for the other artifacts they had in the museum. So we had to find a home for it. It has bounced around from different storage facilities to different storage facilities. We're just looking for a place to find a home for that. It's not sitting in the active fire station. Takes quite a bit of room there. On top of that, we're looking to store some training props, things like that. We just don't have room for it in the facility that we have. Additional storage for other items. We have some portable pumps, some older generators, additional foam, things like that that we will need. Well, we don't need them a lot, but every now and then we use those pumps and things like that too. And they take up a lot of room. We just don't have storage in the existing station. The other thing that we'd like to look at is having the opportunity to have some external training props as well. So that's something that we need to grow into. And that's the picture at the bottom. Now, please consider this liquid or fluid because it can change. I mean, where things are laid out, I think the best place to put that building, I'd rather have Todd in something that building would be best fit down there than anything else. So as far as the construction of this, the fire department is looking to raise those funds ourselves through donations and our fundraisers and payment money to pay for that structure. And this is with Scott Lenya and also Todd Buell about using city employees to put the facility up. They've done that in the past with other buildings in the community. That's some cost there. So we don't have the money right now to do it, but we would like to begin raising money to do that. And whenever we go out to the public or a fundraiser, what we say we're going to do with that money is what we're going to do with that money. So before we say that, it's like to get approval to at least have the land to put this facility on. That you mentioned the fence, that's an interesting thing because at some point, if we do have external props, we would need a fence around it. We don't need
Well, there'll be a little bit left over.
So it did work out pretty well.
We can wrap it a few times.
Should have raised your hand, Scott. You just about gave 2,000 feet away. So.
But if there's other uses for that too, that's something we can work on in the future ourselves as well. And ISO requires 2 acres of land, but they allowed us with our last ISO inspection to utilize parking lots because we do our driving training. There's no reason to put a parking lot there to do annual training for driving. We can use the school parking lots for that, between the college and the school.
Sure.
So,
Okay. This area, Todd, that they're proposing, do you see any problem with that between the waste facility and the water treatment?
Well, we'd have to obviously, this is the first I've seen the plan. They asked me about potentially putting a building down there somewhere. There's a fair amount of city ground down there. There's some of it to the west of like our current salt sand shed that I wouldn't be necessarily willing to give up because I maybe want to put another shed there. But
Sure.
directly to the north or to the east of the wastewater plant, I don't know exactly how many acres we own there, but it's quite a few. Currently, it's grassland that gets mowed once or twice a year. That's it.
the location he mentioned next to the existing buildings, there's an overhead power line that runs across there, so we'd really prefer to move further west as well. So that'd be better for all of us, I think.
Okay. Any questions, Council?
Do you have an estimate on the building cost? What kind of target are you looking at for fundraising? Or?
We're using an example of a building that was put up recently, water treatment plant.
Todd, remember what we budgeted for that? Was it 40,000?
That's the number I was given.
Yeah, I think that's that.
Based with all the materials and stuff.
I did get an estimate from Neil Chase. They just had a price of 40 by 60 of the same construction that they had in the waste for the water treatment
That was just his building.
Then you got your.
Right.
Okay,
Electricity.
building only. Okay.
Right, because the water plant too, finished side outlets, driveway.
I would say around 40,000 would be about a fair guess,
Okay.
a fair estimate, yes.
Assuming we construct it.
No questions or comments on this side? Randy?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was just gonna, do you see any future expansions where we could get landlocked or not, Todd, or?
One minor concern, and that doesn't, I think there's still plenty of ground there, but depending upon where we end up with our permit with the wastewater plant, we may need some more ground there. We are landlocked there except for directly to the north. Long before this project comes to fruition, from the sounds of the money that it has, we should have our permit and have a better lock on that. But that would be one concern. The other thing is I don't know, I guess I don't know a lot about that land, but it's been referenced to me before as fairgrounds and or the landfill area. So I'm not sure what we can actually build or not build and where that area exactly was. So there might be some consideration to take on that as well for the wastewater plant expansion, probably more so than a floating slab.
Right.
built.
And acreage-wise, I mean, we do have more ground to even further north than that yet, too. How many acres do you think we have out there, Todd? And
I don't
will
know.
be 10?
Probably.
Yeah, at least 10 acres. So appears to be, I mean, adequate ground.
Correct.
You know, we had future plans, you know, long-range plans of our old street shop. At some point in time, you know, removing that and putting some other type building back in that location. But yeah, the wastewater treatment plant would probably be the only item as far as expansion in that immediate area, other than another building at some point in time. We don't know.
And really, I think the wastewater expansion, and I'm guessing, completely guessing. If we had to expand, I think it would be in the RBC building, and I don't know, that may be as simple as adding on another 20 or 30 feet to the north of that building, which doesn't affect what these guys are proposing here.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, if we can, I would recommend it. If you need space for more storage, you're running out of room, that could cause safety in the future too if you have too much stuff downstairs. So that's my opinion.
And
I'm all
training
for it.
anymore, and these guys are going to know better than I do, but I mean, training's a pretty critical component anymore.
Absolutely.
I think every year they come out and they have more and more training that they have to have in order to even be on the fire department. So I think having these
And this will
facilities separate from here really will assist the fire department
This-
as well.
It all gains us points on the ISO scoring.
Right.
This, where we lacked last time was on some training facilities and training. This would help with that, for that side of it, because that was, the ISO was pretty in-depth study and report.
I'll move to grant this request.
I'll support that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Scott and Randy, and Fire Department. May I have a roll call, please?
Hint.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Funker.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Next is the consideration of acceptance of the drainage improvement project and the payment of retainer. The final payment, if we accept their, excuse me, the work being done, the final payment would be $13,548.65.
Move to approve.
Support.
Thank you. And if there's no comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Funker.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
And last, well, maybe not last, but number 6 is considering the resolution regarding the hotel motel tax. Our resolution reads, approving placement on the ballot for the general election on November 3rd, 2015, the following. The Iowa hotel motel tax to be imposed at 7% within the corporate boundaries of the city of Sheldon, Iowa. If there's no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
Make the motion to approve it.
I'll support.
Thank you. There are no comments, Scott?
Maybe just one point of clarification, just to point out, Mike and I kind of discussed back and forth as far as the question, the size of the question, what you should put on there. I guess our intent was, and it seems like a lengthy question, but basically it covers basically directly right out of Iowa code. So we felt that would be more explanatory or whatever to the public and understanding what the intent and potential use was for that question. So that's all I had.
And this was the same wording that it was back when the original vote was taken, correct?
The
Or
question on the
similar?
ballot was way shorter.
Way shorter?
It was like a one sentence, I think, question at that point, about 2 lines.
No, it's a
So
little paragraph.
this is broader, but it's basically the same use and purpose as it was before.
Where do we set as far as this, as our 5% right now, where do we set around the area as far as the city, the percentage of tax is taken out?
I guess I haven't researched everywhere. I mean, I'd say a majority that are in the immediate area, I think, are in the either 5 or 7%. Don't hold me to this. I know there's another one. I can't think of the town. I think one's at like 3%. I think everybody's pretty much either at 5 or 7%. I think Sibley for theirs just passed it. Was that 5%? Kurt, was it 5? Yeah, we talked about that. So Sioux Center is at.
Just implemented for the first time ever.
Correct.
Vote this last fall. So they just went.
Their new hotel.
Okay.
Statewide, I guess I didn't check on that or send anything out to.
Any other questions or comments? And I have 2 motions. May I have a roll call, please?
Sawyer,
Aye.
Funkert,
Aye.
Gills,
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. And last comments. Todd, anything?
Yeah, I'll just give you a couple of quick project updates. Runger Addition project, the storm sewer pipe is probably 95% complete out there. They're working on the water main right now. I don't know exactly where they're at. They're maybe 20% complete on the water main. Job appears to be going pretty well. The rain slowed them down a few days. It's a little wetter than we anticipated for the digging out there, but he's moving along. As far as the street projects, spoke with Bruce from Knife River yesterday. They intend on being in town next week, Tuesday, to start milling on the outer 5 blocks of the downtown. And also on Tuesday, then they'll start overlay on East 9th and the 2 blocks of 10th Street residential that we're doing. And then the paver will follow the mill down the outer 5 blocks. They're hoping to be done by the 12th with that project.
Thank you, Todd.
Put notices out today to the property owners that streets would be closed and some interruption next week.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, council?
I have one. We're getting closer to getting delivery of the new fire truck from Maintainer Custom Body, and we have Matlock that is interested in buying the old engine one for $4,000. I believe that's right around $4,000. Wondering if it's okay with the rest of the council that we proceed that way and liquidate that truck once we take delivery of the new one.
Is that's something that we had talked
Normally,
about
when
in the very
we,
beginning?
when Todd asked for permission to
Liquidate
liquidate his
equipment
old
and stuff.
vehicle or something.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we'll be just going up the road.
And that will be when that time comes.
Yes,
Thank
here in
you.
the next
Soon.
couple weeks.
Don't say a
Within the
date.
next week. I'm not
Okay.
saying specific, but
You'll jinx it.
so.
Okay. Any other comments? Scott, do you have anything?
Nope, nothing
I do
else.
not either, other than please continue to slow down for those little kiddies walking to school. It's crazy out there with the buses, and the first week is always nutso. So I just ask that everybody still be aware. Stop at the stop signs. I appreciate it. And on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Sport.
Thank you. Roll call.
Hint.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned